Welcome to She Rises Through It, a space for honest becoming, slow growth, and the unfiltered middle of motherhood, healing, business, and building a life that actually feels good. I'm Sydney, and this podcast is where I reclaim my voice in real time. It's not about doing more, it's about doing it differently. If you're craving real conversations, soulful pauses, and a reminder that you're not alone in the messy becoming, you're in the right place. And just a reminder before we begin, I'm not a medical or mental health professional. Everything shared here is based on my lived experience. Please seek qualified care if you're needing support. You deserve it. You're not behind, you're becoming. Happy Thursday and welcome back to She Rises Through It. This week, it's real, it's raw again. And, if you're following me on social media, you know that we've been navigating an unexpected hospital stay with our youngest. And if you've ever been there, if you ever know how it pulls the rug out from underneath you, everything stops and everything changes. Suddenly you're in this place of not knowing, of all the unknowns, and you're waiting on doctors and updates, and you're just praying to get an answer. In those moments, the unknown feels of everything that's happening. Here's what I want to tell you today and what I want to talk about today. That our voice we carry in these moments, that it matters. I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about the voice that advocates for our loved ones, the voice that whispers truth when fear is loud, the voice that says, I will not be silenced anymore. And that's the throat chakra at work. And that's today's conversation. So let's jump on over. Hi guys, welcome. Episode, I don't even know what number we're on, but She Rises Through Throat Chakra, the unexpected unknowns of being in the hospital. Man, I've been in the hospital so many times. It's a very expensive vacation, I say, just to make it more of a positive experience, because I don't want it to be this negative experience for my children or myself. A little backstory of how we came about of being in the hospital. Huxley, our sweet little youngest, a month and a half ago started having a toe infection, and we didn't know what it was. It was super red, went into the doctors, got him on antibiotics. Well, 4 rounds of antibiotics later, nothing was working. And after that last round of antibiotics, our doctor was super worried because it was not getting better, and it should be something that should be getting better. And it's just not. So he was super worried, called down to the hospital team to infectious disease, and they wanted to admit him and put him on IV antibiotics, as well as get an MRI of his foot to make sure that he doesn't have osteomyelitis happening. Friday, I had a feeling that they were going to admit us, and I was like, Sydney, just go down to the cities. Just go down there so you're closer, because it's going to be so much easier. You're going to get in quicker and get things done quicker if you get in there. I get the call right before lunch, and unfortunately, we made it there in time, and they were pushing so hard for us to get the MRI. However, they didn't do the MRI on Friday, so we spent the weekend on IV antibiotics in the hospital, walking the halls, pulling Huxley around in a red wagon that he loved using. He eventually found out that he could climb out of it. So me, mid-pull around the halls, he was trying to jump out of it. And having, the first night of sleep not go well for both of us, every time they pushed saline to make sure his IV was good before they did IV antibiotics, he would scream. He hated his toe touched. He hated having, I call it a love hug, so his blood pressure checked. He hated his temperature being taken. He started to refuse food. He would barely intake any food. Thankfully, liquids are our backup, so he was getting a ton of liquids in, and he loves his milk, so he got a ton of milk. Our nurses were great. Our doctors and nurses were incredible. The ones that we did have that were his day team. We ran into a situation with a resident where I was frustrated because they put orders on his chart to start pushing IV and fluids at 5 a.m. the day of his MRI on Monday. I wasn't okay with that because we've gone through plenty of MRIs before and we can push fluids for our kid. We know that he loves apple juice. So it's a clear liquid. It's considered a clear liquid part of it. So I could push that before his MRI. The resident didn't want to listen with me about it. She got very offended and stuck on the fact that I asked if she was the resident or the doctor, when in retrospect and hindsight, I was asking, like, are you the attending or are you the resident? I specifically had to ask, are you the one that makes the decisions and are you the authority of this team? Because I want who makes the decisions. And she didn't like that. She didn't like that I was not going to sit there and I was not going to respect her decision that we were pushing fluids and there was nothing they would do about it, and to suck it up. As a mom and a caregiver, you feel things that no chart or monitor can measure, right? You understand your child more than somebody that, honestly, this was the first time I've ever seen the resident. So somebody that didn't even know my son. And you have to learn that in real time, you need to speak up. You need to use your voice. You need to advocate, even when you're tired, even when you're overwhelmed, even when you can't think of the proper words, even if it offends a resident that you asked if she was the doctor or the resident. You're a resident. You have somebody that has to sign off on all of the things and review everything. There is an attendee over you. You don't have the final authority. You are learning bedside manners. You are learning to communicate, articulate, and listen to your patients' families. That is the part of being a resident, is getting the experience now after you've gotten your degree, you've gotten your licensing. Now you're getting the hands-on experience with somebody monitoring you. As a mom, I've gone through this, and I don't even think she looked at my son's chart or knew that he's had an MRI or knew that his brother has had multiple MRIs, that we've had multiple hospital stays, that we have a gene mutation that is a lifelong thing we have to deal with. And every 1 to 5 years, depending on how things go, they're going to do another MRI. I've been there. I've done it. I've gone through it. I understand it. 90% of the time now with doctors, like, we have such a great relationship because I understand the process. They keep me informed and keep me knowledgeable. But in this moment, in this weekend, I had to learn again in real time that I had to use my voice. And that's my throat chakra. You have to allow your throat chakra to open up and to come in. It's not this big mystical way of it opening up, but it's a very practical, real way of saying, I know something is off. You need to please listen. You need to understand that I know my son better than you, and you're meeting him for the first time. In addition, I know the healthcare system. So when it's stated to me that, well, this MRI is different because it's in a hospital setting, no, all my MRIs are the same. We come to this exact hospital for everything. Every MRI is done here. It's not done somewhere else in an imaging lab. It is done in a hospital setting. And they just weren't knowledgeable of my child's background. This entire weekend brought absolutely no answers for our son. Besides, I need to start getting a second opinion. I need to speak up more. And that we're not going to continue to push antibiotics on him that can make him antibiotic resistant as well as start messing with his kidneys. His kidneys are part of his gene mutation. It is a multi-system disorder. It affects heavily the eyes, the kidneys, the brain. It can affect the heart, the skeletal system, potentially GI issues. That's still being studied. It's a gene mutation that they don't know how it affects things. And with a son that had most likely an in utero stroke and putting him under anesthesia that could affect more, putting him on antibiotics for a long time that could affect his kidneys, like, I'm pretty well versed in my child. Anywho, this story isn't about a hospital and the medical system being flawed in ways. It's a story coming back to that when you're in situations like this, that when you're in a hospital, these moments remind you that advocacy is honestly, truly an act of love. And it's speaking up. Speaking up is an act of survival. And our voice is not just a sound. It's actually energy, it's power, it's medicine. There's so much our voice can do. And I want to dive deep in a little bit into the throat chakra. We have 7 chakras. We have our crown, our third eye, our throat, our heart, our solar plexus, our sacral, and our root. Do I know if I have that all in order? Probably not, because I don't know which. I get solar plexus and sacral messed up, but I'm pretty sure I know which ones they are. So we have 7 of them. And one of them obviously is our throat chakra. And it comes from a Sanskrit name that I absolutely do not know how to pronounce. And I'm not going to try because I don't want to offend trying to speak a word that I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right. Okay, I can try. Vishuddha. I don't know if that's right, how to pronounce it. Essentially, it means purification. And it's located in our throat. It is connected to our neck, our jaw, our mouth, and our thyroids. Wearing blue is a great color to wear when wanting to open up our throat chakra. And then also sounds is great. It's a great element as well to help. The role of our throat chakra, it helps govern our communication, our expression, our truth, and our clarity. It's how we align our inner truth with our outer words. When our throat chakra feels open, we speak with confidence, we speak with clarity, and we speak with compassion. However, on the flip side, when it's blocked, we start to silence ourselves. We start to feel misunderstood. We hold back our truths. And sometimes we get physical tension, and that could be in your throat, in your jaw. And that's just a part of the imbalance that can come from it. So some more signs of imbalance. We have the fear of speaking up. We don't like hard conversations, so we avoid them. If you don't like confrontation, that's a big thing. You just don't want to speak. You don't want to get into it because most likely it leads back to a somatic experience. And actually tuning in with why you don't want to engage in a hard conversation or confrontation, there's normally something that it resorts to. I've been doing a lot of reflecting, a lot of learning myself throughout my somatic healing certification class. And we were always told by my dad, you should be seen and not heard. I think that's part of like why I don't speak up, which now I do. I mean, or when we speak up, it's a complete fight battle of who's right and who's wrong. And it's like, we're both right. Both of our perceptions matter. Like, you're having a human being experience and I'm having a human being experience. My truth is right, your truth is right, but there's a middle truth that combines both of it and is the real truth. So yeah, we all perceive things differently and how we look at things. And I know my throat chakra, why I can get locked up is a lot of that. It's a lot of feeling seen and not heard, and that men are dominant over you in addition to respect your elders. However, I think we need to respect everybody. And I think men and women should be equal. If not, women are more empowering than men and can do a lot more. I am learning so much of how beautiful us women are. Anywho, it could feel like your throat chakra, when you are imbalanced, it could feel like you're people pleasing. I'm a huge people pleaser. In fight, flight, or fawn, I'm flight. Like, I like to shut down. But then when I absolutely have to, I go straight into fight. However, if it's a situation of not wanting to deal with the conversation, I start people pleasing. Or if I am just like, yep, absolutely, I'm going to do it for you. No problem. No biggie. And really, in reality, it's like, does it align with me? Or even swallowing your truth. So again, does it align with you? And it feels like you're never really heard. I think it's that whole you should be seen and not heard thing. So it's that perception that nobody's really listening to you and that you're not really heard, and goes one in ear and out the other. And physical could feel like a chronic sore throat, you're having thyroid issues, jaw tension, neck stiffness. I kid you not, I have so much jaw tension and neck stiffness, and it's insane. And I can feel it. Like, even this weekend in the hospital, I felt it. I knew my jaw was clenching. I knew it was tensing up, and I had to tell myself, Sydney, release your jaw. I said it like a couple times, and then I started like massaging my jaw, like getting movement in there too is awesome. So those are imbalances, and how can we kind of balance it, and how can we kind of heal it? We could do some voice practices. So all of these different techniques I will put in the show notes, so you do not have to worry about writing these all down. I just really want you to listen. And maybe while you're listening, you're like, I'm going to try this out. Feel free to. Voice practicing. You could hum, you could chant, you could sing. For me, singing is my form. I love singing. I connect so strongly with music. Music can make me cry even when I'm singing it. Sound can be incredibly healing. For some, though, depending on your somatic experience, sound can actually be very painful. In my training yesterday, she was talking about one of her clients that he had a heart condition, and she was doing a crystal sound bowl with him, and they cannot do it anymore because it was extremely painful for him. But that crystal sound bowl also helps open up the heart chakra that she was explaining. So sound can help heal. So humming, chanting, singing, affirmations. Affirmations are so beautiful to state. Last week, I had to do truth affirmations. What's a truth and what's not a truth in my own training for my business training. So for opening up your throat chakra, you could do the affirmation of, my voice matters. I speak my truth clearly and with love. I am safe to express myself. I cannot tell you how much affirmations matter. We have the brain and we have the mind. The mind we can control. The mind, we can tell ourselves the good things. So when we start really utilizing our mind for good and for positive and not being pessimistic, and start using these daily affirmations, you can actually start changing things with affirmations. This is off topic, not part of the throat chakra. But I did affirmations last week with my business mentor, and he had me like talk about affirmations about myself. And any time now that I get into a hard place, it feels like I resort back to these affirmations and I tell myself, nope, I am strong. I am loving. I am caring. I am courageous. I'm a great mom. I am a great wife. I am a breath of fresh air. I have a heart of warmth. I come back to all of these to kind of like reground myself and come back to those negative thoughts aren't there. They are the old way of wanting to sneak in. But what is the truth? What is the truth about me and who I am? And those that have been touched by me, that I've gotten to see my true heart and gotten to experience Sydney for Sydney, like, those are my positive affirmations. I went on a retreat to Costa Rica with individuals that do not know me and did not know me. And they got to see me for me, real, raw, fully authentic, fully in my truth, and not hiding myself because I didn't know anybody. I got to just be me. And it was beautiful. So affirmations are huge, especially when feeling blocked in a specific chakra. So with our throat chakra, again, Remember, my voice matters. I speak my truth clearly and with love, and I am safe to express myself. I will always come back to journaling. Journaling is a huge thing that you can do when speaking your truth, or even if you do sage, you can speak your truth out loud. I like to take my sage and go around the room and speak my entire truth out loud. You can start journaling with these 3 questions and kind of just flow and see how it goes. So, where in my life am I staying silent? What truth do I need to express? And what would it feel like to use my voice unapologetically? I think that's when I show up on these podcasts, is being unapologetically raw, allowing what's going to flow and be okay with it and know that it's my truth. You know, it's going to resonate with someone. If it doesn't, that's okay. That is completely okay. We all connect in different ways. So, some more healing and balancing activities we can kind of jump into quick as well. Being creative and expressing things creatively. Journaling, again, huge. You can write, you can journal if you want to start writing down. Just for writing, I mean, I think of it like a book, right? Start journaling what you would want your book to be and whether it makes sense or not makes sense. Like, you could have one page that makes sense or a whole chapter all of a sudden that you're like, where did this come from? So you could write and just let whatever flows flow. Don't try pushing it. The moment you push it and it doesn't come with heart, it just doesn't feel normal. You can get a little bit more crafty. You can do some painting. You can get a canvas and grab a couple paints and start different paintbrushes and like throwing it and splatting it at the canvas. You could just paint whatever your heart desires. You could do some poetry. I honestly never, poetry. I've never even like in school, in high school, in middle school, poetry always confused me. It's so beautiful. It's extremely beautiful, but being able to write it out confused me. But maybe I might dabble into that myself. Do anything that lets your inner voice flow outward, whether that be dancing around a fire and chanting and singing out loud, kind of like Sandra Bullock in The Proposal. Gosh, I cannot believe I just referenced that. And then some physical care. I think being active and stretching is huge. I can tell when I get into a yoga session that my neck and my shoulders are super tense. So neck stretches are great. Do some neck rolls, do it one way and rotate it to the next way afterwards. And then when you're in your neck roll, if you're feeling a specific area is a little bit more tense, stay there. Allow yourself to feel in and breathe in to that neck stretch and just give yourself that little extra time. Drinking water, staying hydrated for your body, and then mindful breathing. With somatic experience and somatic healing, we want to focus on our mind, body, and breath. When you focus on that breath and coming back to it, you can really regulate your system. Then if you want to get a little bit more feisty here, we can talk about like energy care, wearing blue and blue stone colors, whether it be turquoise, aquamarine. I'm wearing a little bit of a tealy turquoise today. However, I can tell you right now, my throat feels sore. So I know my throat chakra is just still a little bit blocked up. So colors definitely help, especially if you're going into a meeting and it's supposed to be a big one. And you're like, oh my gosh, is my confidence here? Sit in front of a mirror right before it. Give yourself your affirmations. Do a little practicing of what you're going to say. Go into your car, sit in your car for a little bit and sing out loud and just get yourself into a positive mood, whatever music vibes your soul. Why does this all matter, right? Why does it all matter that I'm talking about our throat chakra? Well, guess what? Our throat chakra is the bridge between our heart and our head. And it's the place where love and truth meets language. And when our throat is closed, the wisdom of our heart never gets heard. And we have so much wisdom to share. When it's open, your words become so aligned with what you're doing. They heal, they connect, and they create. And it's a beautiful becoming and a beautiful journey. So I want to guide us over into a reflective activity, rhetorical questions of just reflecting on ourselves. reflecting on our voice, reflecting on how we're kind of leading life with our voice right now. You can journal this out. You can do a voice note reflection of it. But I really want you to answer these 3 questions. And that is, where have you silenced yourself lately? Have you ever left a conversation wishing you would have spoken up more or spoken up in general? And what truth have you been holding back that your body is begging you to release? And with that, you can place your hand on your throat. You can just take a deep breath. You can ask yourself what word, sentence, or truth wants to come out right now and just say it. Just say what wants to come out. That, gosh, right now for me, all that wants to come out is, what the hell did I just go through this last week? And how do I advocate for my kid in a different way? Because we're not getting answers and we need a second opinion. And that's so hard as a mom to try navigating and try figuring out. It's like the hardest thing to figure out. Anyways, so I gave you some healing and balancing activities. I just gave you another kind of reflective rhetorical question activity. You can go through some more tools you can use, some more practices and tools. And all of these 3 will be outlined in the show notes. So again, do not worry about it. It will all be there for you to kind of look into. But if you're doing a voice exercise, try humming on your exhale and just let your voice vibrate. That would be awesome. You could speak your truth practice in the morning. So each morning, stand in front of that mirror and just say 1 sentence out loud that you've been holding in. Even if it's just to yourself, 1 sentence. Honestly, I could say, man, Sydney, you're feeling frumpy this week. And in hindsight, in my mind, I'm like, that's because I was just in a hospital for 4 days eating junk food, it felt like. Not in my normal routine. I was completely off routine and in a more stressful setting. So say that 1 sentence out loud that you've been holding in. Journaling. I've done this and I love it. Writing a letter that you'll never send and let it clear out the truth that's been stuck with you, whether it be to yourself, to your mom, to your dad, to a friend, to a sibling, to an aunt, an uncle. Don't worry, you don't have to send it. Whether it be to your boss, you don't have to send it. But allow yourself to let everything flow out of what you're thinking, feeling, and just done with. And speak up for yourself in that letter. There's so much to do that you could do. And I just encourage you to try speaking up in a small way, sending an honest text message or a voice note to somebody, asking for clarification if you're not fully sure, or just saying no when you'd usually say yes. I mean, it's simple as that. And last week I was with a gal at my church. We met for coffee one morning. Insanely sweet gal. And I asked to go to the bathroom. She's like, do you always ask for permission? I'm like, well, I guess so. I don't know. I guess I'm like, hey, can I go to the bathroom? Which I do the more I think about it, because I'm like, hey, Jordan, can I go take a bath right now? Hey, Jordan, are you okay if I go do this? So I always ask. It's not like, hey, I'm going to go do this. Versus like, Jordan, which is why sometimes we get in fights. I'm like feeding the kids and all of a sudden he disappears. Then like 5 minutes later, I hear the lawnmower is going and I'm trying to get both kids to nap. He's not answering his phone. He finally comes in because he goes, I see you called. I'm like, where'd you go? Well, I thought because they were going to nap, I would just go mow. I'm like, well, couldn't you have been like, hey, what do you need before? But I guess that's people pleasing. Oh my gosh. People pleasing. You guys, I learned so much when I come onto this podcast and I really articulate things and connect, because as I'm speaking all of it, I'm also learning more and more about myself. I think that's part of this journey too, is I'm not on a destination journey, right? Like I'm just on a journey. I'm a journey to continue to learn, evolve, and grow, live my best life and be present for my family, and to finally allow things to settle and allow the impact of the trauma that I've had start being pushed through, you know? I've forgiven everything and now it's It's the inner work. It's the inner work and just allowing and loving and living life as I truly and authentically am. So I'm going to leave you with that today. And friend, I just want you to know, love, beautiful, beautiful soul, I want you to know your voice matters. Whether you're in the hospital, if you're in your home, if you're in your workplace or in your relationship, everywhere you are, your voice matters. And your throat chakra, it's not about shouting louder. It's truly about just trusting your words carry the weight, that your truth deserves to be heard, and that silence, it's no longer the safe place it once was. So this week, I invite you to check out the show notes, dive into those activities that I've given you. I want you to speak your truth, even if it feels super shaky, even if it feels small, like that's okay. And even if you feel afraid, because your words actually might be the very medicine someone else needs. So I thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of She Rises Through It. If this resonates with you, please share it with someone who needs to remember that their voice matters as well. I would love for you to jump on over to Instagram and connect with me at Sydney Jocelyn. Also, head over to my website, sydneyjocelyn.com. Check out ways we can work together, whether it be one-to-one coaching, if you are needing a marketing guru to help you out that will make the magic happen. If you're ready for retreats and events, I am almost ready to get everything going. I will have a couple workshops the next couple months coming up, in addition to a couple day retreats, and then also my first international or domestic retreat. I'm not telling you which one yet, will be launched for February, March. That's all coming here in September. It's been a lot of planning, a lot of joy, and a lot of beauty. So remember, you're not behind, you're becoming. And until next time, rise, speak, and trust your voice. Thank you for being here. If today's episode moved something in you, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram at Sydney Jocelyn. That's where I share daily reflections, creative sparks, and behind the scenes of everything I'm building. You can also explore my work offerings and retreats at sydneyjocelyn.com. You're not behind, you're becoming. And you don't have to do it all alone. We rise through it together.